Okay, so we'll move into the 2019 A-level paper. Question number 4, subsection number 1. Distinguish between direct and indirect costs. What are some of your explicit and implicit costs of you attending school? Okay, can you all, I'm hoping you all can give the definition of this. Can someone give me a year where did we discuss this? Direct and indirect costs. The definitions of this. 2011, 2011, 2011, question 3, subsection 3. Okay, right. So this definition I'm not going to talk about, guys, because these are things that you all already know. But we'll talk about the other part of it. The direct and indirect cost of you attending school. Okay. What are the direct costs of you attending school? Now, don't give nonsense like rent and wages. What are your direct costs? Right? You can say school fees. Right? Go with the main ones. Okay, school fees. You can talk about transportation, right? Transportation costs. All right. Then you can talk about stationery. Is something like food, do you think it might be very relevant? Now, for example, your tiffin and all, do you think it's very relevant? Don't write something like that, because you know why? Because even if you're at home, you have to eat rice. Got it? So it's not like a cost that is there just because you're going to school. So avoid things like that, because even if you're at home, you have to eat some breakfast. No, there is a cost for that. No? So just because you're taking it to school, that doesn't become a cost just because you're going to school, right? So you can give something like that. What are the indirect costs, guys? Indirect costs. You can say foregone income of not being able to work elsewhere, right? So because you're going to school, you can't go and do a part-time job, or you can't do anything like that. What else? Yes, maybe you can give the time that could have been spent, right, on self-study. No problem at all. Can be a indirect cost, right? So that's also opportunity cost. Your time, you could have done something else. Maybe you could have self-study. Anything else? Professional courses, okay, but not very relevant, because usually during school time you don't do much of professional courses. Anything else that is money spent, right? That would be a direct cost, right? Because remember, if you're directly spending money, that's a direct cost. Anything else that is coming into my mind? Anything that's yes, maybe helping parents, right? You can do that, right? So you can spend okay, you can talk about your leisure, right? Leisure, right? Fine. Tuition classes that could have been attended, I would try to avoid tuition classes as much as possible, because these paper marking teachers are usually not tuition class teachers. They are school teachers who hate tuition classes. So don't write about tuition classes anywhere. You'll try your level best to come. Right? So even in your school teacher, the best way to keep your school teacher happy, right? So that you're learning from your school teacher. Then they would do anything for you, right? So no matter what you do, let's say when you learn econ under me or anything, you when you go to school, act like you learn everything from your school teacher, right? Get the doubts clarified also from that person, and when they get the marks, also feel that they were the reason that you got the mark. That way, you will have a good relationship with your school teacher. School teachers hate when you try to go to a tuition teacher. The reason is obvious, guys, because if they think that they are good enough right now, if the teacher is good enough, you won't go for a tuition class. If your school teacher is so good that you can rely 100% on that person, you're not going. So you're going for a tuition class means you feel that there is more that you can learn than what your teacher is giving in school. That's why you're going. So usually they don't like it, because then they feel a little downgraded. That's the true. No, now if I know that you're coming to my class and going for another class also, right? reason maybe you're weak, but then I will also feel a little bad because I feel that, maybe you're not learning 100% from me. Maybe I am not giving my best. So that's obvious. Any teacher would feel, right? If you go up around 5-6 classes for econ, what does that say about me? That means I'm not doing my best, right? Because that thing is there. So, the best thing that you can do for your school teacher is, I'm not saying it as a bad thing, right? But don't talk about your tuition class or anything, don't, maybe even sometimes don't take your tuition tute and go and show and say, my tuition teacher said this, you said this, right? Don't try to compare also because, they feel bad. So rather, act like you're learning completely from them. If they're teaching something wrong, just ignore it and just keep it like that. Okay. Right. So, I think examples like this is enough. There was another example on the time that you could have spent on helping your parents and all. That's also fine. Okay. So you don't have to write too much. You can talk about this. Your teacher forces the students to go to the tuition teacher, then maybe she's a good teacher who realizes that, what she's doing is not good enough. Maybe someone who would have realized that, that's okay, right? I think it's fine. Points like this. Yeah, so they ask now for this distinguished part, you can explain, right? What is explicit, what is implicit, write 2 paragraphs. What are some of your explicit and implicit? These you don't have to explain. By giving just points is more than it. Okay. Yeah, around 2 examples should be enough. Right. So because they will, let's say they can give you 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, 1 mark for explicit. So 2 examples means half and half, right? For implicit also 1 mark, half and half. That should be okay. Right. Next one. What distinguishes a firm's short run period from its long run period in the production process? A very easy stock question that is there. So what is the short run period? What's the difference? You can say the short run is a time period where at least one factor of production is fixed. So if the firm wants to increase its output, it can only usually increase its labor while capital is constant or capital is fixed. And then you can say the law governing this is the law of diminishing marginal returns. Then what happens in the long run? You can say the long run is a period where all factors are variable. So if the firm wants to increase its output, it can increase both labor and capital because there is no restriction. And then you can say the law governing the long run, the law is not needed, but just to make your answer little nicer, you can say law of return to scale. Yes, if we talk about now, we say in short run, in the short run, we say what labor is variable, labor can change, but capital is fixed. Okay. In the long run, we say labor can also be changed, capital can also be changed. My question to you is, what about technology? In the short run, is it fixed or variable? Technology. Okay, short run it's fixed. What about in the long run? Your production technology. Long run, we say all factors of production are variable. So does that mean technology is also variable in your district? No, right? Remember, even in the long run, technology is fixed. Short run, long run, both technology is fixed. There is something called very long run, not in your syllabus, don't worry. There, technology starts to change. Technology is even fixed in the long run also. In the long run, capital is variable, labor is variable, but the technology is fixed, right? That's how we learn. So there is something called a very long run. That is where the technology also starts to change. That's the reason there. Okay. So for example, now if you take technology, now let's say there is a firm that is doing construction. Okay. So in the short run, if they want to increase the number of houses they produce, what they can do is they can increase the labor. In the long run, if they want to increase the house they produce, now they will buy some let's say bulldozers, some machines, right? I don't know, some stuff, cement mixers, right? And also labor, they can increase. In the very long run, now the technology has not changed. in the very long run, they can change the way that they produce houses. Maybe they'll go into 3D printing, right? They're printing houses now, and you're not constructing houses. The technology itself is changing. That can happen only in the very long run. The technology is not changing, guys. In the short run, also, you have a small bulldozer, you're increasing labor. In the long run, you're increasing bulldozers also, you're increasing people also. The technology is the same, right? You have a cement mixing machine, you're putting the cement, right? You're building the house, the same tech. It's just that you have more capital. But in the very long run, the technology itself differs. Then you might go into 3D printing houses or something like that. Okay. Yes, the capital in the short run is what is increasing in the long run. Okay. So remember, technology is fixed. Okay. So is that question okay, guys? Distinguishes between a firm's short run and long run. Fine. Not that hard. Then the next one. What are the 4 basic assumptions of perfect completion? Guys, when they say assumptions, what you should write? What do you think you should write? Assumption. You write the characteristics, guys. They're not asking for anything else. And when they ask what are the 4 basic assumptions of perfect completion, they're asking for the characteristics. So what are the characteristics? They're talking about the main ones. Huh? So what are the main ones? One, you can say there are a large number of firms. That's number 1. Second one, the product produces a homogeneous product. In other words, it's identical to the product produced by another producer. Then, what else? You can say the firm is a price taker. There is perfect information. You can talk about no barriers to entry. So those are like the main ones. No? So don't write anything else. Now, don't say price taker and then say perfect elastic demand curve. That's the same, right? So write the main ones. It should be okay. Remember, this is nothing else, right? Now, don't go and, when you get a question like this, sometimes they might use a new word. So then don't start, cursing your teacher. This fellow never taught me, right? All of that and all. You don't have to write high competition because you're saying large number of firms. That's automatically implied. Now, you can't say large number of firms and then say high competition. That's like a duplication, right? Obviously, when there are large number of firms, there is high competition. You can't write both. Either you should have omitted large number of firms and then written high competition, but large number of firms is the basic point. That has to be there. Okay. Moving to the last one. Okay. These kind of questions are very easy and interesting, right? Easiest 8 marks that you can ever get. So listen carefully. I'll show you how to get an answer. Right? Let me expand this. First one is asking, okay, we'll go with the question. They're saying the diagram below presents a perfectly competitive firm operating in the short run, producing an equilibrium output of 100 units. Remember, I told you, when you get a question like this, the first thing you have to find is what is the number of units they are producing. Now, in this question, they have directly given 100. Sometimes they won't tell you that. Sometimes they will say price is this much. Then you have to equate MR and MC and find the output. That is the question I think we discussed in the 2016 or 2015 paper, one of the old papers. Now, here they are saying the firm is producing 100 units. So now, right, how do you find the price? Can you tell me this case? We'll see how many of you all can think. At 100 units, what is the price? Is it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60? Remember, they are producing 100 means at that point, MR and MC should be equal to each other. What's the price? The price there is 60. Why 60? See, you connect it to your MC curve right here. So in other words, there is a MR curve going like this, no? Right? There is a marginal revenue or an average revenue curve going. So based on this MR equals MC point only, they are now producing 100, right? So in other words, you need to realize the marginal revenue or the price there is a 60. Because if you don't find the price, you can't find the total revenue. Easy question, guys. This 8 marks is like 3 marks. So can you tell me how much is the total revenue? Total revenue equals average revenue multiplied by the quantity or price multiplied by the quantity. How much is that? So average revenue is 60, quantity is 100. So 60 into 100 is how much? So be very careful, guys. Give rupees and all. These are revenue, 6,000. Right. Total cost. How do you find total cost? Very simple. Total cost is average cost multiplied by the quantity. So at 100 units, guys, connect and see how much is the average total cost at 100 units. ATC. Where is it? Here, ATC at 100 units is here, right? Here. In the method. So you connect, you get 40. So therefore, average total cost is 40 multiplied by the quantity 100. So how much is our total cost? Total cost is 4,000. Are these even problems? No? Right. Part C, total fixed cost. How can you get total fixed cost? You can get total cost equals total variable cost plus total fixed cost, right? So total cost is 4,000. How much is our total variable cost? Or you can get average fixed cost also, no problem at all. Different ways of getting it. How much is your total variable cost? Total variable cost is 30, right? Average variable is 30. So 30 into 100 plus the total fixed cost. So you can say total fixed cost is equal to 4,000 minus 3,000. Total fixed cost equals rupees 1,000. Or else you can find the average fixed cost. Remember, the difference between these two curves is the average fixed cost. This difference. So that is 10. 10 into 100. That also you can get. So you need to show a working, guys. So you can say average fixed cost equals 10. How 10? Average total cost is 40. Variable cost is 30. So this minus this is average fixed cost is 10. So average fixed cost multiplied by 1,000 by 100 is this. So you can give your answer. Is that okay, guys? Safe, right? Not that hard. Total fixed cost is 1,000. Then finally, they are asking for the economic profit or the loss. How much is that? How do you find the profit or the loss? That is total revenue minus total cost, no? So total revenue is 6,000, total cost is 4,000. So how much of profit do we have? We have a profit of 2,000. Can you see, guys? That is calculations like this. If I get on my paper, you would, be screaming if you get something like this on your paper. This is like free 8 marks that you can ever get. These are nothing, right? You get a question like this, these 8 marks are guaranteed. You have a 20 mark subset, this 8 mark is nothing. And then imagine, guys, just imagine the people who fail A level. How bad they should have been. They can't even get questions like this, right? That means they've never studied at all, right? Because even if you do the past papers, you can pass the exam, guys. You don't even have to go for any classes or anything. Just doing the past papers, you can pass the exam. Because the same question comes again and again, right? So could have easily done this right now. This 8 marks is nothing. This 4 marks is nothing. In this, I don't think this is also anything, right? Difference between short run and long run. This one, maybe let's say you didn't get the full mark, you wrote some nonsense for the examples, right? So let's say you only get 3 marks. That's all, no? So you can easily get even 19 marks, right? Let's say 3 marks for this. This question is nothing, total 4. This question is nothing, you get the 4. This question is nothing, you can get the 8. So you can get 19 marks. Easy as that. You can get all 20, but I'm just trying to be a little bit more realistic. Chapter 4 MCQs and essays. I'm planning to start it next week. We'll try to finish it as soon as possible. We'll try to have a few extra classes if possible and try to be a little parallel with the past track. We'll see. I'll try my level best. Okay. Right. Is that okay, guys? Yes, next week you have the mock exam in the past. Is that okay? 2019, any question? Yep. Right. So we take a small break for around 5-6 minutes and then come back for 2021 and 2022. Same questions are kind of repeated, so we can skip a few as well. Right. So, we take a small break. You can walk around, do what you want, and come. It's 5:13. We'll take a break until 5:20. So you have 7 minutes to walk around and do everything.